Train the muscles, not the joints.
So how's it going? Today I'm going to do a little bit of shoulders and triceps. I don't know if I'll make you guys stick around for the Romanian deadlifts too. I'm going to do some Romanian deadlifts, but yeah, it's been a little bit of time for me to do a live workout. It's been a while since I've done one. So anyway, I thought I'd just do some type of live workout today for you. I have the garage doors closed because it throws off all the lighting and all that kind of stuff. So it's real fancy shit going on right now. In case you didn't know, this is a fancy sort of mountain gym. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm going to do some shoulder presses first, some bent over laterals on an incline, and then I'll do some triceps. And yesterday I was doing the French curls on the floor. So the reason why you might want to do this, you know what, wait a second. I'll actually get to this. I'll explain it when I'm doing it. But I think you guys are going to enjoy the logic around why I do some certain things or whatever. So yeah, just stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Just watch. Maybe you'll learn something, or maybe you'll reinforce what you already know. Now, one of the things about shoulder presses is that I find when I go a little bit of a narrower grip, it looks prettier on camera because it looks like you're doing more of a range of motion because there's more movement, right? When you do wider, there's a little bit less movement. Doesn't mean it's less effective. That's the big thing, you know? You're already learning something right now. Doesn't mean it's less effective just because the bar is traveling a shorter distance. Because it's all about where is the intensity on the muscles going. You know, which muscle is getting the most intense burn and so forth. So, you know, a lot of times that's the risk you run when you start paying attention to people, you know, on the internet or in your gym or whatever, when they say, oh, you're not really moving that much. Well, sometimes it's because of the form that you're using or the grip width and so forth. But it doesn't mean that there's less tension on the muscles. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about the tensions, how they play out. It's not about who can do the prettiest rep. It's about who can do or at least put the most amount of stress on a certain muscle group in order to get that certain reaction. That's right. So you just saw me do a set there. You're welcome. So now I'll rest about a minute or two, and then I'll do my next set. So a lot of times lately, what I'll do when I'm doing shoulder presses, I'll stick to one plate. Sometimes I'll go heavier, like I'll do 155 for standing shoulder press, or once in a while 185. But I find that yeah, sometimes I just like pumping out the reps and firing the neck properly and all that sort of thing. And then I guess this brings me to a point, and that is there are going to be some exercises that you will go heavy on from time to time, but that doesn't mean you have to do every exercise heavy, right? So I will be coming out with a video talking about this, you know, that it's important to go heavy once in a while. But that doesn't mean you have to go heavy on every exercise. Some exercises might feel better not going heavy and you preserving that strength for maybe one of the big three lifts, or maybe there's a certain movement that you're specifically feeling that you get the most benefit out of going heavy on. So that's kind of an advanced technique. A lot of guys, they want to apply technique to every single situation, but some techniques apply better to some situations than others. And if you're going to do heavy sets, you may find that some exercises almost, let's just say they may challenge you in a different way than just challenging the muscles. Like maybe they become too awkward once you're doing heavier weight, or maybe some muscle groups start to come in that you don't want to come into the movement once you start going heavier. You know, so it's going to be about personal preference. For me, when I go heavy on standing shoulder press, sometimes I find that my neck comes in a little bit too much and so forth, and then I'm not necessarily getting the delt work that I want. But again, I'll go heavy once in a while, but more often, if I'm going to go heavy, I'll do heavy on a bench press type of pressing movement or an incline or something like that. Yeah. There we go, get some delts going, hey? And another minute or two, maybe 3 minutes rest, depending on how much I talk here. Yep. Good, there we go. Now let's do some bent over laterals. Here we go. Just gotta move the lights and everything. So sometimes I'll do this this movement more flat, like the incline more flat. Sometimes I'll do it a little bit more vertical. When I do it a bit more vertical, that means I'm gonna get more track. When I do it flatter, that means I'm going to get more rear delt, or I will get some trap as well, but I'm going to get a little bit more external rotator cuff as well, right? Because I'm doing a lot of external rotation on this movement, like I've talked about a lot of times. And then sometimes, if I feel really motivated, I'll do one movement and then I'll move into a swimming type of movement, right? To get a little bit more rear delt fatigue, or make sure that rear delt hits failure. Of course, I'm going to get some lat in the swimming type movement and everything too, but you'll see what I'm doing once I perform this exercise. 1 second here. Here we go. Okay. See, in this case, the lats actually help to hit the delts, right? Because they have lots of strength, so they can take those delts to the deeper level of failure. Oh my God, that's good. Oh, so this movement also hits the traps quite a bit. So a lot of you guys, or at least a lot of people anyway, they always say, hey, what do you do for your neck? What do you do for your traps? You must do a lot of shrugs. And the truth is that as much as I've played around with shrugs before, I never found them as effective as heavy bent over rows and these types of movements for traps. So it's just the way the exercise dynamics play out, right? It's not about weight, it's about how much tension is actually on that muscle sometimes. So, and the angle of attack. And the type of movement can really make a big difference in how much pressure is on an individual muscle. So it's not always about weight, although weight can play a massive role on the overall stress on the body. But when it comes down to isolating certain muscle groups, it's not always down to weight. Sometimes it's just the angle or what you're actually doing. Okay, so now I'm going to give myself a couple minutes here. Now I might go heavier, but it's always down to mood. Sometimes I'm heavier, sometimes I'm lighter. It just depends on how I feel. Yeah, whatever is giving me the best pump or the feeling, you know. Because if you follow a good feeling in the gym, you're definitely more likely to train more often. So, you know, people always argue about what's more effective. Yes, sometimes heavy is more effective, 100%. I'm not going to lie about that. That is true. But just because something's good sometimes doesn't mean it's good all the time. You know? So that's why I mix the rep ranges up. So I like when my traps get tight, the muscles get tight, then I move my head around and just adjust my neck and stuff. So it's almost like a rehabilitation program, you know what I mean? For the neck and everything. Well, that's good. Look at these delties, schmelties, hey, look at that. Hey? Wow, it's crazy. Oh, it's a good pump. Okay, let's just move you guys. Just for fun. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay, now on the triceps. Okay. Now the neat part about doing skull crushers on the floor is a couple things. One of the things is that you can be a little bit more aggressive on the elbow angle, meaning you don't have to bring the elbows up quite so far because the dumbbells are going to come to a stop with the ground. So the ground is going to stop the dumbbells, but not your tendons or muscles or your, let's just say your elbow, like it is in skull crushers, right? So when you're doing a free weight skull crusher where the dumbbell isn't being stopped by a floor, then you want to make sure that you're bringing the elbows up a little bit to keep that tension on the belly, at least for the most cases, right? You're going to notice that you'll be more aggressive on the angle when the dumbbells are stopped by the floor as opposed to when you're doing a skull crusher on a bench. And that's the general tendency anyway, right? Tendency, no pun intended. But anyway, the whole point is that when you do the skull crushers on the floor here, there's a couple things that are happening. One is you can get more aggressive on the elbow because of the floor, helping stop the momentum of the dumbbell. But the other is that your rotator cuff muscles won't come into play trying to stabilize the shoulder, because once again, at the bottom part of the movement, the dumbbells are being stabilized by the floor, but not by the shoulders. So that gives the rotator cuff a bit of a rest, and therefore it's just a pure pumping motion of the triceps. So yeah, once in a while, it's a good idea to do these. I know C.T. Fletcher used to do these a lot, and this is why. It's not because they're easier by any means, they're just different, you know what I'm saying? So for me, having an unstable shoulder because of the torn labrum, these are kind of cool. And that's one of the challenges I've had since I dislocated my shoulder, was that I want to keep the tension on the triceps, but a lot of times, once again, the rotator cuff will come in sometimes and destabilize a bit, and then my muscles in my rotator cuff start to dictate when the set's going to end as opposed to my triceps. So yeah, this is something to help with that. So as you can see, I can come down like this, where I would never do a skull crusher like this, ever, right? Because it's too aggressive on the elbow. But I can do that if it's on the floor, right? So I can just bounce a little bit. Helps if you have rubber dumbbells or a rubber floor. Don't do this in an apartment, of course. You might end up in your neighbor's bathtub. Now you don't have to be aggressive. You can come back to if you want, but you're going to notice that when you get very angled up sometimes, you hit failure. A certain muscle that you normally don't hit failure with a normal sort of skull crusher. So that's the great part about it. But yeah, they feel really good. Like I can keep going without any stress on the elbows. And yeah, I love skull crushers. Don't get me wrong. I love bringing those elbows back. But you know, bodybuilding is about changing the angles from time to time, because that will help you hit certain parts that just aren't getting challenged. The nice part about doing triceps too is you don't need a lot of rest in between sets. They're kind of a smaller muscle group, so your breath returns to normal pretty quickly. Like, you know, 30 seconds to a minute, you're pretty good, you know. So I'm doing, for this movement itself, 30 pounders are, as you can see, a decent weight for me. I wouldn't really want to do heavier because I find starting from a dead stop could be, you know, a bit challenging, because you're not also getting that added elasticity of the muscle to drive yourself out of the movement. So that's kind of where sometimes constant tension works for you. Sometimes it can work against you when it comes to hitting certain muscle fibers. So when you're coming down and your muscles are tense and you're not resting on anything, sometimes that tension in the muscle helps you drive out of the bottom too. Great for bodybuilding reasons, for a lot of reasons, right? But again, it's still a type of tension, and you do want to deviate from that once in a while just to give it a break and maybe hit different muscle fibers or challenge the body in a different way. So yeah, you know, even my own principles I stick to for the most part, but it's good to deviate from your own principles as long as they don't injure you, of course, once in a while. So yeah, like I always say, break your own rules sometimes. Because you never know what you might discover, right? If you have big ears, don't pin your ears to the mat. No elephants can do this movement, right? If you're Hindu and you believe in Ganesha, don't let Ganesha do this. Fuck that. That feels good though. Man, I'm really enjoying that. Honestly, I haven't done that for a long time. So sometimes what you haven't done for a long time is actually the best thing. Oh. Yeah, I've been having trouble really focusing or getting those triceps going. So yeah, this is great. You know, the other thing I've been messing around with too is doing some heavy barbell curls here and there, because you know, I've been going light, and light is good in a lot of cases for isolations, but once in a while you have to go heavy. Once in a while you have to challenge even an isolation movement. That doesn't mean you have to do 5 reps or a 1 rep max or anything. I'm just saying, you know, you want to go heavy once in a while, challenge in a different way. So hitting those fast twitch fibers, you know, can only work for you if you do it safely anyway. So all the drug guys, they can get away with just pumping all the time. You know, they can get away with a lot of shit. It's a totally different journey when you know, like these drug guys, right? When you're natural like us, like drug-free bodybuilders like us have to, you know, challenge the weight once in a while, you know. But you just want to do it safely and not to the detriment of the tendons of the, like the joints and stuff, right? All right, one more set. I'll do one more of these puppies and then we're good. You guys can't see it, but I'm crossing my legs. I cross my legs halfway through the set because it makes it seem like I'm relaxing as I'm exerting myself. Gotta trick the mind, you know what I'm saying? Gotta trick the mind. All right. Truth is, I haven't done Romanian deadlifts for a while. Sometimes I get stuck in my routine of squat, lunge, or step up. But I'm doing these, and then I'll do a couple sets of leg curls with the TRX band. I'll just do a couple sets of that. But I'm going to do 3 sets at 225, and then then a couple sets of the TRX. Now I always use wrist wraps, you know, when I'm doing barbell stuff, when I'm doing moderate weight. It's not because I can't use my grip, but I just always have the tendency for my grip to give out first before my actual back or hamstrings do, you know, so, and then sometimes if your palms get sweaty, sometimes you'll slip and stuff, so I just always find it's just better for my mind muscle connection with the hamstrings, along with stability and no accidents, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I've had my grip give out on one side or something like that, and all of a sudden, you know, I got to drop the weight on the left side, which is fine, but sometimes you can jar your back a bit and stuff, but for the most part, I do it for comfort, honestly. You know, just think to yourself, what would Bob Ross do? You know, you try to find a comfortable way of doing it. You don't want to get too comfortable, I know. But yeah, the whole point is to work the hamstrings. I'm not trying to work grip. Now the thing is, I found with doing Romanians is that if I haven't done them for a while, to not push myself to an extreme with them, because then I get so sore I'm not squatting or doing anything for a while, so because you just get so damn sore. But yeah, no, Romanians are great. I love them. You get a lot of lower back work, a lot of lat work, and a lot of hamstring work. So that was my first set. Now I'll rest for a minute or two and then get on to set number 2. Not failure. I know, not failure, but I have a method to my madness, so. Okay, so basically what you saw when I was doing the Romanian deadlifts was 3 sets of not failure sets, okay? Now the reason why is because when you don't do a movement for a period of time, one mistake I've seen people do is they take that movement, they go directly into failure, you know, and they get massively sore, or they tweak something or whatever, and it's just kind of unnecessary. That's all I'm saying. Like I saw a guy one time, I brought him in the gym and he insisted on squatting 4 plates for reps, even though he hadn't done it for 6 months. And then of course he did a great set, but then all of a sudden something tweaked, right? So it's like there's a certain type of homeostasis or environmental sort of balance that needs to take place. And when you introduce a certain exercise to somebody or to yourself, it takes a bit for the body to calibrate. And once it calibrates, then it's safe to push into deeper failure. So that's one of the reasons why I totally disagree with the Mike Mentzer method, as far as you get totally out of touch with the movement, and then you're supposed to go balls out, right? And you know, that's going to create more injuries than it is going to help. You know, and I mean, if you're 15 years old or 16 years old, maybe you won't notice it because you can kind of bounce back from anything. You don't necessarily get injured as easily. But as you go on in years and you get more advanced in this bodybuilding thing, if you start to go too aggressive, like from nothing, doing nothing, to really aggressive with a certain movement, you're going to notice that that's a primary time that you will get an injury. So yeah, sometimes it's not necessary. So here's the leg curl that I have at home here. I do like this because it brings the hips into it too, right? So it's not just a leg curl, but I can kind of, you know, bring the hips into it too. So it helps the hamstring fire fully instead of just partially. Right, it's a good movement. So, you know, if you really get strong on that, you could probably just do one leg at a time. I'm sure there's a way you could probably just wire your feet into both straps and then just do one leg at a time. That would be good too. So I just thought of that right now, actually. I just thought of that. See, I'll do one more set because I know my hamstrings are going to be fried for tomorrow anyway. And yeah, that's about it. This is pretty much my workout, right? So I got a pretty good workout in. Pretty good pump with the shoulders and triceps. Did a few things differently to show you guys some variations. And at the same time, I'll tell you what to watch out for. If you haven't done a movement in a while, give yourself a workout or so to get used to it, at least before you start really pushing hard, right? So here's my last set. Okay. Great. That's my workout for today. And don't worry, this isn't a sheet. I'm not going to get in trouble for this. This is a sheet designated specifically for this cause. But yeah, that's my workout for today. And yeah, make sure if you like these kind of things, make sure you leave a comment down below. And I'll be sure to do another live workout for you guys in the future if there's a demand for it. So yeah, I like to change up the content from time to time, but if you like this stuff and you really want it to become regular, then make sure you share it, make sure that it gets lots of views, you know, and then I know you guys like it. So there you go. That's how it works. Mojo. And if you haven't tuned into the podcast yet, make sure you tune into that. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.